Hello and welcome. We are looking into the much anticipated partial solar eclipse in Aries coming in on March the 29th. There's a lot of information with this one, but first, before I get into it, I want to make a special announcement about the Shadow Project V2 that I am currently creating and building, and it is amazing. I'm so excited to launch it. I am going to be launching it probably mid-April to end of April. If you want to be on the wait list, drop your email into the link in the description area below. You will be first to be notified about this upcoming Shadow Project, which is going to be pretty spectacular. So all the information will be there. All you need to do is click the link and you will be in the know. All right, so let's get into this solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse in Aries. First, I want to go back into Pisces season to review and to reflect on what happened over the last 3 to 4 weeks, because for a lot of us, it was very, very transformative. There just naturally has been a lot of intense energies. I mean, this is kind of getting normal, isn't it? So the best advice that I could give going into some of these retrogrades, going into spikes in energy, Schumann resonances, going into the dynamics that we are going to face within ourselves, because we are shifting, we are evolving, we are changing, we are transmuting. The best advice I could give is to listen to yourself, to tune in, to pay attention to the dimensions within yourself. Your awareness is going to continually sharpen. Your senses are going to continually sharpen. You're going to go deeper within yourself. You're going to open up and unlock many aspects of your being. And it is quite an adventure when you really get into it. So that is what is happening on a more grand scale within the last few years, especially. I mean, even looking back at last year was a big year. This year is a very big year. Remember that we are also in a universal year 9, which is a year of endings collectively. So you are going to have a little bit of that flavor interwoven throughout the year. If you are in your own personal year 9, you will have a double dose of that experience of transformation, of death and rebirth. Incredible transformation is available for you. But I do encourage you to look up your personal year number to know it, to look up your personal month number and know it as well, because this is going to be a very significant clue as to the themes that you are going to go into, or that you are in within each month and then throughout the year. And it does offer some really amazing opportunities for introspection, for understanding more about yourself and what's happening within yourself. Because remember, this journey of yours is you. It's all about you. So we do have other people in our lives. We do have relationships showing up. We do have careers. We have, a life to create and to be part of and to experience. But you're at the center of it all. Remember that. No matter what happens, you are left with you, your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, your body, your energy. And the beauty about what Pisces season taught us was that everything is in motion. Yes, for many of us, it could have been a difficult time. That last month, 3, 4 weeks or so was quite transformative and maybe heavy for some of you out there, myself included. But what happened during that time, or what happens when we're in moments of that, we can deepen our practice. Actually, that's the best time to do that. But Pisces taught us to be more fluid, to be more adaptable, to understand that everything has cycles, everything has rhythm, everything is moving and changing. Our energy is moving and changing. Our thoughts are constantly moving and changing. Our emotions are constantly moving and changing. And our body is constantly regenerating, is constantly changing, is constantly shifting and morphing and transmuting. So we can go really micro and look at even ourselves and the details of ourselves that are constantly changing and constantly adapting. Or we can go macro and look at what's happening in our environment or within the world. So this is all an expression of movement and flow and transmutation and change, especially during this pivotal moment of evolution that we're in. So Pisces did teach us to be more fluid, to be more adaptable, to gain more wisdom out of these transformative stages that we can be in, and to connect more with ourselves. Also, when we connect more with ourselves, we become more compassionate, more attuned with the world around us, with relationships, with people, with life itself, with the world, right? And so Pisces could have maybe taken you into the depths for transmutation, for wisdom, for connection with something greater, and especially the connection with your pure powerful self. We're moving into Aries. So Aries season kicks off officially on March the 20th. This is the spring equinox, when we have an equal measure of day and light, especially for us in the Northern Hemisphere. We are now moving into the light. Hallelujah. It was quite a deep transformative time in the darker months. And this really does mark the traditional new year. So it is a bit of a refresh, or a significant refresh, I would say, specifically looking at the solar eclipse coming in. It is very, very much a significant reset, which I'll explain in a moment. But we have the equinox, we're moving into spring. The energy is naturally going to lighten. When we go into a new zodiac calendar, starting with Aries, we're starting at the youngest point. We're starting at the birth, the inception, the beginning, the spark, the fire that gives fire to life, that ignites it. So it's a very young archetype. Aries is all about initiation, leadership, starting things, creativity, and of course, raw authenticity. So all the fire signs do have a tone, a connection with authenticity, but Aries is all about large and in charge and being raw and real with authenticity, with one's true self. And of course, power ruled by Mars is going to be part of this archetype, and is also going to give us a kickstart into this new astrological calendar. Now, you might be wondering why we have a solar eclipse in Aries when we have the North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. We just had the lunar eclipse in Virgo, which was very transformative. It was very deep for a lot of us. But once in a while, there will be an eclipse in an adjacent sign to the North Node placement. So this is one of them. We also had one in September of 2024, which was in Pisces, when lunar eclipse in Pisces, when it should have been lunar eclipse in Aries. Nonetheless, we have a solar eclipse in Aries when the North Node is in Pisces. Therefore, there's going to be a little bit of an interplay between energies and between old and new, because also we had the North Node in Aries previously. I encourage you to reflect on what has changed over the last year, year and a half, that has aligned you more with who you are, with maybe your voice, maybe a stronger sense of self, maybe clarity, maybe empowerment, maybe feeling bold, maybe stepping into a role of leadership, maybe taking charge in some kind of way, maybe starting your own business. Something in one of those domains or others related could very well have happened over the last year and a half, and it is going to have something to do with you. Now, when we step more into our authentic self, when we step more into our own raw power of who we are going to be met with our fears. And that is what the zodiac calendar provided for us when we went through all of the zodiac archetypes throughout the year. We were met with different aspects of ourselves. We were met with different traits, with different emotions, with different opportunities and challenges and shadow aspects that helped us in some way transform, in some way helped us transmute and become closer and closer with who we truly are. Now, that's why this new moon is really special. And that's why this new moon is going to be very pivotal for a lot of us, especially if you've been doing your work and following these cycles and working with your own inner practice and your own inner landscapes. So now is a time where in some way reflect on, who are you now? Who are you today? And where do you feel you're going because of the change that you've gone through? So we're at a little bit of an end and a beginning, because we had previously the North Node in Aries, which is now over, but this is sneaking through as one last ditch effort to open yourself up even more. And if you're faced with fear, that's perfect, because that fear is going to tell you what needs to be released so you can be more of yourself, so you can take charge, so you can be more in your power. Now, power doesn't mean from the egoic side of power, from wounded power. This means raw, authentic, pure, unapologetic you power, where you can speak your voice, where you can be daring, where you can take charge, where you can venture in an area that you've always wanted to, but you've been holding yourself back, or something's been holding you back, or maybe the timing wasn't right. This is all about taking charge. And when you take charge, those who are daring in this time, those who open up, those who say yes, those who take the leap will be rewarded. So we are naturally met with fear when we take this leap, when we take charge, when we step into something and maybe a life direction or a new version of ourselves, or be more authentic with ourselves, we are naturally going to be met with fear. And that is completely normal. I go through it constantly. Now, when I face fear more and more, I also am very open to it. I'm very inquisitive. I'm very curious, and I'm very dedicated to work through my fear so that I don't have to be stuck in it anymore. So I don't have to be held back and sabotage my future and my voice and my light and everything else that I want to share with the world and that I want to experience. But naturally, as I mentioned, when we are becoming more and more who we are, we're going to be met with the layers of fear within. So just see it as an exercise of what we can let go and work on now leading up to the solar eclipse, so we can prepare ourselves, so we can be ready to say yes and to be open and to liberate ourselves and to connect with our pure authenticity, but our pure power. And what can we be open to taking charge, even if it frightens us? Because guess what? Being a bit afraid is actually a good thing, because it tells us that we're on the right track. If we were doing something that was boring, if we were making ourselves small, if we were holding ourselves back, if we were limiting ourselves, it would create some kind of other repercussions in our life, but it would also feel really comfortable. It would feel safe, because sometimes we are all also often used to operating that way. But now this is time to open up. This is time to take charge, because this, I feel, is pretty much the catalyst to that big change that we have been experiencing for about a year to a year and a half, right? So who are you today because of all the change that you've gone through? What is lining up for you, and how can you take charge and take initiative? Now, usually during solar eclipses, it's a little bit of a wild card. It's a little bit of a gift from the universe. We never know how exactly it's going to show up for us and what it's going to offer us. But know where the solar eclipse lands in your own chart for the theme, but simply be aware and remain open, even if it's scary. And if it's scary, it's okay. It's good to have a little bit of fear. It's a little bit of excitement, but also you can look at what is the fear? What is the fear of the future that has not yet been written? And how can I work through with more courage and bravery? As this is going to be a very significant solar eclipse, change can happen in an instant, or it can happen over a period of time. Awareness is going to be your way through this. Now, something might show up for you in your outer environment. Something might show up within you that's going to want to be reborn, that's going to want to be birthed, that's going to want to be shared with the world, or that's going to want you to take charge in some kind of way. So listen inward, but also pay attention to what's happening outward, because many things can start growing and sprouting, and seeds can be planted at this time, or radical change can just show up out of nowhere, which can happen. We have to remember that there are many dimensions playing out at this time. This is a time of renewal, of rebirth. This is a time of growing, planting the seeds, saying yes, being open, taking charge, being brave, cultivating that warrior archetype within you. Change can happen in an instant, but change also can happen over a period of time. Remember, you are the creator of your realities. So this is going to require you, as the creator, co-creating with the universe, to be open and let whatever is meant to happen for your highest good and greatest potential to happen. You've done the work. This is now the reward. This is now the opportunity. This is now the insight. Like I said, renewal, rebirth, especially for all of us coming out of the Northern Hemisphere dark time, which was quite a trying season. We also are moving into April, which is going to have a bit of a lift, given that we are coming out of about mid-April, coming out of Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde. So April naturally is going to be a month of openings. So line yourself up, remain open, remain in trust, and remain in flow. We are also moving into a universal month number 13-4 in April. So finishing off this month was a little bit more open, yet we did have retrogrades. We had the lunar eclipse, which was really all about reviewing and a bit of the inward journey. In the month of April, we have a 13-4, which is a karmic debt number, and 4 signifies being grounded and rooted and working on our foundation. So being very structured, being very organized, systematic. The 13 is a karmic debt number where we generally do have to be a bit more organized and a little bit more diligent so that we can prepare for a very strong foundation and strong results. it only leads to reward. It is not a karmic debt number to be feared. It requires usually a little bit more work to get ahead or to build. The 4 is all about building. It does have a bit of a karmic tone when we are not paying attention to details and to structure and to the foundation. And to what the things that need to get done, there will be some kind of repercussion. So that is the little bit of the karmic lessons with the 4. It's important to have our foundation solid so that we can build upon it. So we all know what's after the 4, and that's the 5, and that's coming in May. So in April, we're going to have a lift about mid-month to the later portion of the month. The 4 is going to allow us to build a solid foundation. We may have new insights, we may have new ideas, we may have new direction, and this will allow us to build that solid foundation and bring everything together of what we need to work on, to build upon, and to prepare ourselves for the next month. So as I see it, after this heavier period that we've been in the month of March, things are naturally going to allow for more movement. And if we work with these energies, and if you know your own personal month numbers, then you can work with more flow, working in the natural rhythm of your year. I've been working with numerology 4 years, and now I'm naturally in the rhythm and the flow with my year numbers and my month numbers. And I just naturally know what I need to do and how I get a sense of doing things. So it just is a natural rhythm for me now that I can find my flow and my rhythm with these natural cycles. So remember, this season of Aries, and especially the solar eclipse, is where bravery is rewarded, where creativity is sparked, and when stepping into your own inner authority is encouraged. So embody the energy of Aries. Where can you take charge and align with your inner authority, your inner warrior, the fire within, and simply be open, especially with this solar eclipse. Like I said, it's a bit of a wild card. We don't know exactly where it's going to land, but the universe is working in your favor right now. So wishing you all the best. Don't forget to sign up for the Shadow Project, and I'll be seeing you again very soon. Take care.